is that if you elect John McCain, you're going to be electing 4 more years of the same.
Can I just make a comment about how old that talking point is getting? It really is getting so old. I think the American people, we have to respect.
But you know what,
it's true. No, it's not.
Might be old, but it's true.
It's totally false in the American public. We have to respect the fact that the American public that's out there today watching us on TV, they're a lot more sophisticated than that. They know that Senator McCain has been someone for the last 25 years in Congress and the Senate, has worked across party lines. He's worked to come up with solutions in a bipartisan way in the best interest of the American public. He's taken on his own party in many cases because he does want to come up with solutions that are in the best interest of the American public. You know, I tell you, frankly, I go out there and I talk to folks, average, regular Americans on the street, and they're just so tired of this tired talking point that the Democrats have been playing, trying to link Senator McCain to President Bush, and it's just not working. People get it, that he's an independent, strong voice out there. So him being able to say that in a very straightforward way to Senator Obama last night, I'm not President Bush. You should have run against him 4 years ago.
Was that effective?
It was extremely effective. It was one of the great lines of the debate last night. He put that to bed, and I think the Democrats have to find something else that they need to talk about because that's not going to be keep working anymore.
The leitmotif of the Democrats trying to tie McCain to the failed Republican administration.
They can try, but John McCain has not ever been seen as your stereotypical Republican standard bearer. He's been the maverick. He's been the one that's taken on his own party. He's been the one that's taken on the special interests. He's been the one that's every day fighting for the American people, hasn't he, really?
To do. I mean, this was considered like one of the last chances he had, really,
I think
to turn the table.
McCain did a very good job last night. I think if you look at it just from a boxing perspective, I think Senator Obama won on sort of the charisma appearance piece, but Senator McCain won on points. I think he was able to go out there and he talked about those.
Did he change the table? Or
we'll see what happens.
Turn the
we'll
table
see what happens among the electorate. But what he did do, he talked about those mainstream issues that people care about. He talked about controlling government spending. He talked about individual freedoms. He talked about government reforms. He talked about the fact that we need to be able to get back to a place where we need to look at the other candidates. But the other thing that I would add is Senator Obama's plan, I agree, it's smoke and mirrors. It doesn't add up. It just doesn't add up. And when he does talk about his plan, it's literally smacks of socialism. It smacks of redistribution of wealth. It talks about going to and a company that makes when a company that makes $250,000 is not a large business.
It's not a large business.
But you said it was a large business that make $250,000. You got
but
lots of small
somehow it
businesses
does not
out there.
resonate with the public, right? The public trusts more Obama's plan. Why is that?
Let me finish my point. $250,000 company is not a large business. Most of the jobs that come out of this country come from small businesses. Most of the small businesses in this country are folks that are able to get out there and start a business, get out there and actually hire jobs, create the wealth that's in this country. That's what we need to be able to stimulate. That's what we need to be able to support. We don't tax. We cannot tax the job creation engine that's of this country, and that's small businesses. We cannot do it. That's a formula for disaster.
I think it's genuine what Danny is saying, but unfortunately for McCain's credibility, it's just not there.
Although 2 years ago, he was one of the early voices in Congress standing up and saying, we've got this Freddie and Fannie issue, we've got to look at it, it's going to get us in trouble. And fast forward 2 years later, he was absolutely right. To be able to raise that flag early on and say this is a crisis brewing in the making. So I think he had the foresight to be able to say that this was a crisis coming, and he was right. But I think at the end of the day, you have to be honest about it. You've got to be, if you know that there's a major, significant crisis, you do want to have those experts at the table. You do want to bring them together. And unfortunately, when I see Senator Obama ridiculing the fact that we should establish a commission, that concerns me, that he would rely on his own good graces and his own wisdom to be able to dictate what we do with the economy without bringing those folks to the table. I think that's a little scary.
Why does it matter?
Look, our right to vote is one of our most precious franchises that we have in this country. We need to be able to make sure that the process itself is fair and appropriate. Having Acorn go out there and register dead people, 70-year-old girls, put names of football players on there, actually buying people off by giving them money or cartons of cigarettes. You know, that's not part of the process that we.
But what does it matter if they cannot vote?
But if they do, when they do go in there, and if they are registered, and if they're able to actually cast that ballot, it's going to take a long time to actually be able to weed through.
It's going to be able to weed through it. Because I would like a clarification.
Right?
Can they really cast a ballot if they don't have an ID that proves it?
It's damaging to the process. This is exactly the wrong thing to do at the wrong time. Right. We need to be able to have a fair and equitable process. What I would love to hear Senator Obama say clearly and publicly is the fact that we cannot take the right to vote in this country cavalierly. We need to be able to respect that franchise, and for him to call on Acorn to stop these fraudulent activities. If he has any respect for the process, he would come out today and repudiate those actions in a very public, very clear way. He hasn't done that yet. You're right. People aren't voting for the vice president; they're voting for the president, the person who is not a heartbeat away from the president, but actually is going to occupy that chair when they go in. So the comparison is going to be between Senator Obama and Senator McCain at the end of the day. But Governor Palin does bring a sense of, she's got more executive experience in terms of leading governments and being the chief executive of governments than anybody else on the ticket, even McCain. So I mean, there's lots to be said for that too.
The liberty he has because he opted out of the public finance system.
And although I respect the fact that he made that tactical decision because he thought it would benefit his campaign, but it also demonstrates the fact that he did break that commitment that he had made to accept public financing, which was a commitment that both of them had made early on in the process. Senator McCain is sticking with that commitment that he had made. No, I agree with you. It's not all just about the money. It's about being able to energize your base, and that's what I think Governor Palin has done for the Republican ticket, is she's energized the base. And she's got a lot more folks motivated to get out there and do the grassroots activities that you need in any campaign, knocking on doors, doing phone banking, and all that stuff. The one thing that I would like to talk about also is the fact that he did take advantage of that debate last night to be able to talk about one of the things that Hispanics in the United States really need to be cognizant of, and that's the fact that Senator Obama and the Democrats have strongly opposed a free trade agreement with our best friend and ally in Latin America, and that's Colombia. And it's beside me. I don't understand how they can actually rationalize that position, other than the fact that it's the unions in the United States that are forcing their hand and trying to push something so that they can be relevant again. And unfortunately, they've chosen Colombia as to take hostage in this process. Our best friend and ally in the region, who's made so much progress. President Uribe and his administration have made so much progress over the years on so many important issues. We need to stand with them, not just from an economic perspective, but also from a geopolitical perspective. If you look at that neighborhood down in South America, we need to stand by a strong ally.